From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Becoming Thin podcast. And I am your host, Chris Carroll. And welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now. Don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. It's your reward for your troubles, after all. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, up again, before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired. In fact, it made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all 6 of those things that created the results in my life, and if I wanted to get new results that lasted, I was going to have to go change those 6 things. And I'm here each week to help you make permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to your life so that you can take step by step closer to the body and life of your dreams. To the body and life of your dreams. And I used to think that I could just lose weight and leave my life intact. But, well, that never worked. 20 years of trying that. 20 years of trying to leave life intact but changing my body. And I just kept finding my way back because I didn't understand that my life and my body are inextricably linked. They're linked. My body was a reflection of my lifestyle. My body was a reflection of my habits and my routines. And I needed to change those things. And that meant looking at my life and going, what isn't the way I want it? And how can I make it better? How can I level it up? You see, a lot of times I talk about changing our lives and people are like, well, I don't know that I necessarily want to change my life. But, because what if it's worse? It's like, well, no, I'm not talking about taking your life and making it worse. I'm talking about taking your life and making it better by upgrading everything. That's how I looked at it with my own journey, is that I was on a journey of improving my entire existence, making everything level up to be a better version of what it was. My income, my job, my social life, most importantly of all, probably my mental and emotional health with myself. That was a real big one. And as I went on that journey, I began to realize that when you always heard the phrase, you got to make it a lifestyle, people weren't saying make dieting a lifestyle. They were saying make a new lifestyle, something that you could keep doing. And so I started thinking on my weight loss journey, I need to find things that I can do for 10 years. Every time I tried to lose weight in the past, I was picking solutions that, quite honestly, I could only do for months, maybe a year. And then I was just going to have to quit because it was too hard. It didn't fit in my life. And a lot of the things I'd have to do really aren't even what I want to do. So I had to find a way of managing my body, way of losing weight that I was willing to do. I didn't need to be coerced, but it also needed to be something I could keep doing. Because once I lost all the weight, I started thinking I can't stop doing what I did to get me here, but I got to stop doing something because I can't keep losing weight infinitely. And that's when I began to realize that I was solving 2 problems. I have a weight loss problem. I have all this excess weight on my body and I want to get it off, and I've been struggling to get it all off because I keep quitting, sometimes far short of being done. And usually it's because I was picking a strategy that was just not effective, efficient, and adaptable. It was just effective and efficient. And because it wasn't adaptable, I'd run into some sort of circumstance, or my life would get complicated or busy, or I'd get too stressed. And the strategy I was using, I couldn't keep using it because it wasn't adaptable enough. And so I needed to find a way of losing weight that was very, very adaptable, something that I could mold to as my life changes. I think, you, the listener, I think we've both been alive long enough to know that change is the only constant in life. Change is the only surefire thing, right? Nothing stays the same. Nothing's permanent. Everything changes. Everything has an end. All good times will end and will be followed probably by an unpleasant time. And all unpleasant times end and they'll probably be followed by a pleasant time. All emotions will run their course. All problems will eventually reach their conclusion. But it can sometimes be stressful in the middle of it, right? And so we have to lose weight in a way that allows us to do it through those things. But that's only problem number 1, the weight loss problem. We have problem number 2. And it was problem number 2 that I was never really actively solving, which is anytime I'm not losing weight actively, I'm gaining weight. which means I didn't have a weight loss problem. I had a weight gaining problem. And it's hard to lose weight, right? And the problem was it felt like I had to micromanage everything. I had to hang on tight and cling to my weight loss strategy, to my diet plan, because anytime I wasn't doing it, I'd gain weight back. And I was like, well, what if I dealt with the underlying cause of weight gain and address that? Because that way, anytime I just pause losing weight for whatever reason, like maybe life gets crazy busy or maybe something gets stressful, if I can just pause weight loss and my weight stays the same where I'm at, no matter where I'm at, well, then it's not so bad. Yeah, I'm not making forward progress, but I'm not going backwards. You know, and in the before times when I was the yo-yo dieter, I would be very happy to do I took 6 steps forward and 4 steps back, so that's still 2 steps forward. So that's progress. I'm gonna focus on that. And I used to be really all about that. And then I started sitting with that more and more as it relates to my weight and my mental health and a lot of other things. And it's like, well, that's a lot of wasted energy. What if I, instead of taking 6 steps forward and 2 steps back, 6 steps forward and 4 steps back? What if I instead just took, 2 steps forward and that was it? Right? Because I was taking all these steps forward because I was expecting that I was going to walk it backwards. But when I decided, let's just do this in a way that's much slower, in a way where I don't go backwards. And this led to me beginning to use hunger. Because I started really noticing that I was regularly eating when I wasn't hungry. And I had a sneaking suspicion all the way back at the beginning of the journey that this is creating weight gain. Because I mean, obviously, it's obvious, right? If you just sit with this in your mind, you gain weight because you eat too much. I knew that. I just didn't want to talk about it, but I knew it. And I didn't really ever think about it much, so I didn't deeply understand it. But when I was at the beginning of this final weight loss journey and realizing I am not willing to go through failure again. I'm not willing to lose the weight and gain it back. I'd rather take 5 years and lose it slowly. I realized I had wasted 20 years hunting for a shortcut. If I had just done it the slow and steady way, I'd have been done years ago. And I was like, well, let's not wake up 5 years later thinking coulda, woulda, shoulda. Let's just start now, making my way towards where I ultimately want to be. And I started off with just listening to hunger. That's what I started off with for the food. I mean, I did some other things, but, we're going to talk about the hunger today. And I've actually really altered my coaching as I move into 2026 in some pretty meaningful ways. After years of coaching people and having lots of exposure to lots of different kinds of journeys and watching different circumstances and situations, I've realized the order in which I implemented my weight loss mattered a lot. I had a suspicion that it did, but I wasn't certain. And because I wasn't certain, I didn't push it. Because I don't push things I'm not sure about. That just doesn't seem right. So I have to do the things that I know, like, okay, I can stand by this. This is an accurate way to do things. And I noticed something as, again, working with people en masse, is those that track their calories were budgeting their emotional eating. They were hiding it in the numbers. They were hoarding calories during the day so that they could emotionally eat at night when they wanted them. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say all emotional eating is bad. I mean, sometimes a person's doing that because they want to enjoy some food with their spouse at night watching some TV. I don't know that there's necessarily anything wrong with that per se, but I think that's not what everybody was doing, right? A lot of people I noticed, they were eating. They'd get to the end of the day and they'd have 400 calories left and they'd go eat anyway, even though they weren't hungry at all. They're like, well, I got the calories. I might as well eat it. But the body doesn't work that way. It doesn't want the exact same amount of food every day, day in, day out, week in, week out. It just doesn't operate that way. It's actually quite variable, the energy that the body wants to take in. And so I began by my journey by focusing on my hunger. And now I've made this a foundational principle for my weight loss coaching, is that we begin first and foremost by learning how to attune to our hunger, how to listen to it, how to detect it, and how to respond and react to it. It is not It's not something that you solve in a week, not even probably a month. In my case, it was really 6 months of working with it. But by the end of the 6 months, I mean, I had learned and changed so much, and I lost 30 pounds. That's the crazy thing. You don't necessarily have to try to lose weight when you're working on your hunger. It's just interesting that those of us at the beginning of the journey, we tend to lose weight when we're listening to our hunger. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is I wanted to give you 3 tips for using hunger to lose weight, right? How can you've already decided, right? I'm going to listen to my hunger. I'm going to use this, but just listen to I'm hungry. Like I could use some tactics. And I thought today we could talk about three tactics that'll really, really help you. Now, before we do that, I would love to invite you to leave a rating and a review of the podcast on whatever podcasting platform you happen to be listening to this on. If you're on Apple Podcasts, I would love it if you could leave a written review. That does help get the podcast in front of more people. And if you've listened to me for a few episodes and if you've gotten some value out of the podcast, I would appreciate a 5-star rating. But I want the chance to earn that 5-star rating. So please give me several listens and let me get a chance to earn that value for you. And if any episode happens to stand out to you or has provided some sort of support or assistance or helping you see something in a new way, I would love it if you could share that episode, maybe on your social media or with a friend. Again, because it gets the podcast in front of more people, and I want to help as many people as possible lose all the weight and keep it off and become thin, healthy, happy, in shape. And so I would really appreciate that. And if you want to join a community of other fellow podcast listeners, I would love to invite you to come join the Becoming Thin community on Facebook by searching for Becoming Thin. You can just do that on Facebook, and there you'll find a group with black background, yellow text. Go ahead and request to join. We'll let you in. We'd love to have you come be a part of it. Now, let's talk about the first tip. The first tip for using hunger to lose weight. And this one's a two-parter. So there's part one. I'm gonna give you one, but one only works if you do part 2, which is the second tip, right? So just know that this is the combo unit right here. So the tip number 1 is allow your hunger to interrupt what you're doing. This was something I realized was very helpful for me, is I was usually always trying to anticipate hunger. And remember, your brain can synthesize feelings. Your brain can trigger feelings to occur. Or it might take small feelings and make them and exaggerate them, make them a lot bigger because you're paying such intense attention to them. And so what I found to be quite useful, and it did 100% result in me eating less, is going about my day, doing whatever it is I'm going to do, and not doing everything I could to not think about food or eating, and waiting to allow hunger to intrude into my mind, to barge its way into my life like the Kool-Aid man being like, yo, we hungry, we need some food. And so let me give you part 2 and then we'll talk about them combined, because again, this is a 2-parter. You need to do both. Tip number 2 is engage in activities that occupy your mind and body. Your mind and body. Engage in activities that engage your mind and body. Far too often, what I was doing is I was engaging in activities that only engaged my mind. And don't get me wrong, I still do a ton of that. I love engaging my mind. But there's tremendous value in engaging your body. Now, engaging your body could be all sorts of things. It could be cleaning your house. It could be rearranging a room. It could be taking your car down to the car wash to get it to vacuum it out and wash it. Put some gas in it, air up the tires. Just keep it tidy. Maybe you want to go on a walk down the street, or maybe there's some stores you've just been wanting to go do some window shopping at. Maybe you've got a home project that you've been putting off, like a room that you've been wanting to paint, or an accent wall you've been wanting to do, or maybe you got some holes in a wall you've just been meaning to get to patching. There's all sorts of just things in life that you could be doing that involve your mind and your body. And some of these are really great because they involve some problem solving. Like, let's say you got a hole in the wall that you need to patch, right? Maybe you got a kid that put a thing through a wall, right? And you're like, I've been putting this off. I got to get to this. And you're like, I don't actually even know how to patch a hole in a wall. I've never done it before. I don't even know what to do. So now you're doing some research. You're looking at some videos. You're getting your shopping list, and then you're going over to Home Depot and you're buying the supplies, and you're coming back and you're like, all right, well, how do I do this? And you're like mixing up all the stuff, and anyway, you're just doing your thing. Your mind and your body is fully engaged. Oh, and by the way, you're being productive, which is like super awesome. That's going to give you a nice rewarding feeling when it's done. I promise. But like, go do something and then just let hunger like show up and interrupt you. You're like doing your thing and you're like, I'm like midway through this process and I'm getting hungry. It's really helpful to do this. I mean, really, truly helpful to let your hunger just interrupt you. But this requires you to be doing an activity that fully engages you and helps kind of separate your focus away from just anticipating the next time you're going to eat. I know in my past, life was the annoying thing in between eating. Now eating is a lot of times the annoying thing in between life. It's so fun when you just get so engaged and swept up in an activity and you don't want to stop it because your body's wanting to eat. So bonus tip that I wasn't planning to include, but I just thought of it as I was saying this. That also meant I needed to not have food around. I used to also carry food around. I'd have food at my desk. There'd be food in the break room. Like food was always close. So it wasn't my hunger triggering me to eat. It was visually seeing the food would trigger me to eat. I use the Andy's Mint analogy a lot, in case you haven't heard it from me talking about it. So if I were to put a bowl of Andy's Mints on your counter right now, big bowl full of them, what are the odds you would have just one or more in the next 7 days? For many people, when they hear this, they're like, oh, I'd probably at least have one, maybe even more. Right. Me too, probably. So you got to ask yourself the follow-up question to this then, which is, would you have gotten it because you wanted it? Or would you have gotten it because it was there and you saw it? And I realized on my journey, if I keep food out of sight, it becomes out of mind. And then my body will introduce the notion of eating to my brain. Now, of course, we have to learn to separate the difference between hedonic hunger and physical hunger, hedonic being that mental, emotional hunger, and physical being biological hunger for energy. We're not going to get into that today on today's podcast. But there is a little bit of work that you also have to do to discern those two different feelings, because you don't want to honor the hedonic hunger sensation every time. That'll get you into trouble with weight loss and with weight gain. But your physical urge for hunger, that means your body actually needs food. That's not a bad thing. If your body needs food, you give it food, your body's going to use it for energy to do things, not to store it as fat. The excess eating, the recreational eating, that usually is food your body doesn't need. And so your body is going to store it somewhere. And so we have to find a way to reduce the excess recreational eating. And listening to your hunger is a really great thing to do that. So let's talk about the third tip to kind of tie these together, which is to be mindful of your food choices. The thing is, some foods just hit a button within you, and you've probably already aware of some foods. They do one of two things. Some foods, once you start eating them, they're hard to stop. It is hard to stop. Now, somebody else, that exact same food, they could probably take a few bites, set it down, and walk away. But for somebody else, maybe you, that same food, you're just like, once I start, it's like it lights up my system. It makes my eyes kind of get excited. I feel like a tingly sensation in my mouth. Like I just got to keep eating it. It's like this uncontrollable urge to get another bite, to grab another handful, to just keep diving back in. Now, something to remember is much of our ultra-processed foods were invented and continually refined by the world's best food scientists that have ever existed in the history of humanity ever. And their goal and their mission is to create food that is hyper palatable, that you're going to want to keep coming back to. I'm not going to say it's addictive. What I'm going to say is it's incredibly pleasurable. And so when you're in the act of eating it and it's sitting there in front of you and you can keep eating it, that, you might keep going back because you're fighting against now your biology screaming at you to get more food. And so when you're working with hunger, you might be mindful of perhaps not eating those foods in your first month or two while you're getting acquainted with your hunger, because that can really throw things off. I'm not saying you got to cut these foods out forever. Maybe you do. In my case, I can have Cheez-Its. There's a box of Cheez-Its in my backseat of my car right now. I use it for running fuel sometimes. Sometimes I'll pull up to a run and I'll just grab a little handful of them and I'll just kind of eat them while I'm doing, my warm up walk. Just a small handful. I don't know, maybe 100 calories, 140 calories worth. And it's no problem. I don't have any issues with it. If it's the white cheddar Cheez-Its, different story. Different story. I tried some last year for the first time in years, and I just had a small bag of it. So even if I lost control, there wasn't more I could go get. And wow, it was like my brain was buzzing, like bzzz. It's like electricity was flowing through me, and I felt that I couldn't stop thinking about it all day. Like for whatever reason, that flavor profile with my body, the way my wiring is, and also perhaps my old conditioning, because I gained a lot of weight eating white cheddar Cheez-Its, but it's just like I couldn't stop thinking about it. I just couldn't stop, which leads to the second thing to be mindful of when working on your hunger. So some foods trigger you, like it's hard to stop once you're eating it, but some foods, once you have it, you're going to crave it for a while. And so when you have some of it, you're signing up for the cravings that are going to come for the next week or two. That's frustrating. That's hard. And when you're on your journey, you might need to take breaks from those foods for a while, maybe a few months, maybe even longer. I had some foods like wheat thins. I'd bring them back, I'd try it, and then I'd lose control, and then I'd have to cut them out again, and then I'd bring them back several months later, see how I'd do, and then I'd lose control and cut them out again, and bring them back 5 months later, try a little bit, lose control, cut them out again. But then eventually I reached a place after years of doing that where I could have wheat thins around and be okay. But I don't buy them in big boxes anymore because I've noticed that's too easy for me to just go by and pick at them and grab a few at a time. I don't actually buy big boxes of things like that, or chips or things that I could just really, really enjoy. I don't buy them in big containers anymore. I buy them in the smaller packages. That way I can just grab a package. And if I do on occasion buy something in a big package, I will pre-portion it by putting it and transferring it into smaller bags that I've sort of determined. I might make a 100-calorie bag, a 200-calorie bag, a 150-calorie bag, a 75-calorie bag, and I'll just have an assortment of them. That way I'm like, all right, I'm willing to dedicate 75 calories to some fun food. And then I'll go into the cabinet. I'm like, yeah, there we go. Just grab a 75-calorie bag. Because I find, you got to remember, serving sizes on food is largely arbitrary in nature, right? It's not, they could be something else. If you go to other countries, the serving sizes are different. So it's not like it's a universal standard. It's just what we happen to do. So as you're working on listening to your hunger with weight loss, I want you to also be paying attention to how different foods impact the hunger signals and the cravings after you eat them. What does it do for the next day? What does it do for the next hour? What does it do for the next week? And you'll notice it's not necessarily just a whole category. Sometimes it could be, but not always. In my case, for example, donuts. I don't have donuts often. I do love donuts, but I don't have them all the time. Those are, super calorie dense. And again, for me, those are one of those foods that I overindulged in for many decades. So I feel like I'm still balancing the books a little bit. But if I have like we have Shipley's donuts here. If I have a Shipley's donut, which I really enjoy the old fashioned ones, the sour cream, I don't know, the old fashioned ones with the cracked top, and love those things. And I can have one of those and I'm fine, right? I mean, I might think about it for the day, but like it doesn't linger with me. Whereas let's say I have a Krispy Kreme version of the same style donut. For whatever reason, it tickles something in my brain. I think about it for weeks. Weeks I'm thinking about it. So it's not donuts trigger the ongoing craving. It's Krispy Kreme specifically triggers the craving. So I know, like, if I get a Krispy Kreme donut, I am signing up for weeks of battling the craving in my mind. I'm not just signing up for this one battle I'm about to have one donut and stop. I'm signing up for 2 weeks of food noise, 3 weeks of food noise, a week. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't even know. It's going to be week to weeks of food noise around that specific food. And it's like it refreshes the memory of the brain and it sharpens it. Right now, if I were to try to imagine what it tastes like, it's pretty dull, that sensation, that imagining, because I haven't had one in a while. Whereas like a Shipley's donut, I don't know. I love them. It's good, but just something about it is not as good. And there's something about the flavor that just doesn't hit that button. And you are going to have your own foods that do that. And as you're beginning to work and study your hunger, I think you're going to find it useful to begin observing that. And perhaps limiting some of those foods while you're on your becoming thin journey, while you're in the early stages. It's not because you cut them out forever. You want to really limit the number of foods you cut out forever. But that doesn't mean you don't regulate them. That doesn't mean you don't have them way less often. Like I love ice cream. I still have ice cream. I just don't have it as often as I used to. I used to have it like almost every day, because I would just, why not? Why would I say no? I'm an adult. I don't have to say no. But if I wanted to be thin and in shape, I was going to need to say no to ice cream every day. But I can still have it. I can just have it less often. But I needed to find other things that I enjoy, though. It's not like I'm having ice cream, which I enjoy, and now I'm replacing it with things I don't enjoy. No, I love everything I eat. This journey will be a lot easier if you actually like the food you're eating, by the way. And you'll find there's a lot of foods you can actually genuinely, for real, truly enjoy eating that aren't hyper palatable, and you feel good when you eat it. So something to think about. So I hope these tips help. Give these a try as you're working on learning about your hunger. And if you're wanting to get more help on your journey, if you're wanting to get support, if you're wanting to get more coaching, if you're wanting to get involved with a community of people that you can really help you level up your journey, I'd love to invite you to come consider joining the Guild of Champions, which is my weight loss coaching group and community. We've got hundreds of people in it. It's a phenomenal program, and it's going to be unlike any other program you've ever done. And if you're interested in learning more about it, you can go to imnotquitting.com. That's IMNOT quitting.com, imnotquitting.com. And there's a link to it in the show notes. You can click it. There's a video there. I'll tell you a little bit about it. You can read a little bit about what it is. Also in the Becoming Thin Facebook group, there's a lot of guild members in there. And you're welcome just to ask. Like, hey, is anybody here in the guild? What's been your experience? Just ask. I don't, if you go to my page, you're going to notice there's not really many reviews. Because I would rather you just go talk to people right now, currently, that are in the program and just ask them what they think, right? Just get real feedback on it. I think you'll find that to be tremendously useful and valuable to get, where you can ask them questions. And I encourage people, if they're in the program, to be honest. Don't pull your punches. Just shoot it straight. Talk about how it works. Talk about where it doesn't work. Because if you're considering it, I want you to be able to know that it's a good fit for you, for what you're looking for. And my objective with the program is to help those of you that are 250, 300 pounds, 350 pounds, to help you make it all the way, actually complete the journey, get all the weight off and learn how to maintain it. The program will work for people that don't have over 100 pounds to lose. We have many a person that comes to the program only looking to lose 50, 70 pounds. We have plenty of those, but I've really optimized the program for a person trying to lose well over 100 pounds because there's just not enough of those programs out there designed to help you. And it's a totally different journey. And as somebody that's walked down it, I intimately understand it. And now having helped many, 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 many people make it through this journey, I'd love to have the opportunity to help you make it through your journey. So that's imnotquitting.com. Thanks so much for being a podcast listener. Thanks so much for, on behalf of your future self, for showing up for you, for trying something new, for studying your body, studying your mind, studying your heart, and setting a new direction and beginning to move towards it. I'm telling you, the you on the other end of this journey is going to look back on you today and just be so grateful for everything you're doing. All these sacrifices you're making, they're for you. They're for you. You get all the benefits of it. And this is going to be an incredible journey that you're going down. This will be a long journey. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, but it's going to be a beautiful thing. I can't wait to meet you on the other side. I'll see you next week on the Becoming Thin podcast.